Hey everyone, and welcome to the Solo to Entrepreneur Show. You're with me, your host Lorraine Chai, again for another cool and amazing episode. So here we are in terms of talking about all this business and how we can be of value with people. But today I've got with me this amazing friend of mine, Scott Mendell, who has stepped into the health industry and has done amazing things in helping people, especially veterans. Just listening to his story has been wonderful. So that's why I thought I'll have him on board to share his story from his perspective. So Scott, welcome.
Hi, how are you today?
Great. So I know you told me the story in terms of your business and your investments, but I wanted coming out of you because I love the stories that you share. Now, how did Care Bear, is that right?
Red Bear
Red
Care.
Bear Care. I always get confused by that one. I know. So Red Bear Care, how did that come about and you creating something so amazing?
So, um, for 10 years, I was taking care of my father. And when he started going downhill rapidly, I started looking around for help and assistance and things like that. And what I found was terrible. Um, from assisted living homes that fed people on $2 a day or less to caregivers that were such a nightmare that my father was in tears the next morning begging me not to ever let him back in the house again. Um, so I just I knew something needed to change. I knew nobody had been trying to change it. And I'm one of those guys that, I get an idea and I'll chase that rabbit until I've caught it.
Absolutely. And I really love that. And like meeting Scott for the first time and the first couple of times we met, like he's just got the gentlest soul that I've ever, come across with. So that concept with Red Bear Care, like how did that like work out was it around when your dad was around? Like how did that work in terms of for your family
It
and the
was
people that you
it was
know?
originally called Silver Fox Care, which is my nickname. And that was given to me long before Silver Fox was a thing with the seniors. Dad and I were in YMCA Indian Guides together back in the when I was very young. And you had to pick an Indian name, and being redheads, Dad immediately chose Red Bear. And so I just picked Silver Fox. And so the company that I originally built to care for Dad um, was called Silver Fox Care. And then when Dad got his final diagnosis, um, I decided that it would be his legacy. And so we changed the name to Red Bear Care. And so that's how Red Bear Care got the name Red Bear. And it really is. It's all about my dad. It,
Mm.
it's it's a legacy for both of us, I guess you could say.
Mm. So you brought this idea into a business concept, and it's been really an amazing journey for yourself. So how did you bring this idea into reality, and how long did it take you to bring this into reality?
It was developed. The original idea was a wellness home, which is really the next evolution of assisted living, where with most assisted living today, it's owned by real estate investors, private equities, mom and pops, and the level of care just isn't there. They're much more concerned with the dollar, long-term rentals, than with actually trying to improve the health. And so I worked very diligently trying to keep my father independent for as long as possible because once you start caring for a parent, you quickly realize that their independence is your independence.
Mm.
Because once they lose it, you are their lifeline to everything. I'm actually almost done with a brand new book I'm writing called the working title right now is The Silent Sacrifice. It's about the hidden cost of being a family caregiver. I've got like two more chapters to finish the editing on, and then it will launch. Um, and it was written from my experiences in what I went through with my dad. But to get there, it was like with most assisted living, it's like, oh, Miss Ellie, welcome to our home. We'll take care of you till you die. With mine, I wanted it to be like, Miss Ellie, welcome to our home. We're going to do everything we can to get you back to your family or your own home as soon as possible.
Mm,
And so that was kind of the genesis of the idea. And then as I got deeper into it, um, it was probably November, man, that was probably 23. Is that right? Or 24? Yeah, it was November 24, I guess. Um, when I finally realized that if I was going to build this thing and it worked and we got people back to their families and with all the neuroplasticity work and the research I've done on the new technologies and everything, that was absolutely a possibility. And I realized that if I didn't support them when they got back home, then they would just come right back into our home. And so I knew I needed to build a home care company, which is Red Bear Care. I needed to build a PT, I mean a therapy company, a home health company, which is RBC Home Health,
mm.
um, which would support them with physical therapy, occupational, and speech therapy. And then when I bought the office I'm sitting in here, um, being the savvy real estate guy that I am, I immediately cornered the daughter that was helping her mother sell it, and I was looking for the pain point. And so I asked, "Why are you selling this?" And she said, "You won't believe this, but my mother has developed Alzheimer's." And my real estate hat came off very quickly. And I said, "Oh my God, you won't believe why I'm buying it." And I told her the
Oh,
story.
okay.
And she was like, "Oh my God, you need to build a daycare." And I'm like, no, I've got enough on my plate." And she said, "No, we've looked everywhere. We've been all over town. The only place my mom likes is all the way up in the Woodlands, which by the way is like 45 minutes without traffic north of Houston, hour and a half with traffic. And I'm in Florida right now. She needs somewhere to go during the day that's safe. Even when I get here, she's going to need somewhere, and I would have to leave the house at 4 o'clock in the morning to get her there on time. Sorry about that. Thought I'd silence that. To get her there on time, and we need one that's down here." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I love that y'all are selling this, and I love this office, but yeah, that's not something I need." And then I actually started thinking about it, and it dawned on me that if I added a senior daycare to my system and then added hospice, that I could build the first ever complete vertical integration of the senior life cycle, and I could redefine what continuity of care actually meant.
Mm,
And I sat down one day with a buddy of mine, and we were talking about this idea, and about midway through dinner, he's all excited about the idea, and he goes, "I just wish we could do something with veterans." And I smiled, big light bulb on top of my head goes off. And I said, "Man, if you hadn't paid attention to the research, everything they are talking about now to help veterans is neuroplasticity work. That's
mm,
exactly what we're doing with our seniors. It's
mm.
all the research I've put in, it's all the new technology. So all we have to do is build the exact same home. And instead of putting seniors in it, we put veterans in it."
Right.
And that's where the
So
RBC veteran comes.
literally, like you're aware of the opportunity that came your way, and then it's more of nursing the opportunity and creating into something and developing that idea to what it is today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's and I think when you find a true entrepreneur, myself, JT, Chris Chana, who's a friend of mine down in Florida building Senior Day, um, we are idea people.
Mm,
We're not task completers. We're the generators, right? We give birth to these things, and then we have to have people that run them for us. We get bored very, very quickly.
mm,
But the building of them is what our fuel is. It's what drives us. For me, it's like it started with that. and now I'm building four new AIs that will help revolutionize senior living.
Mm,
And so it's just one idea. In fact, I've got several coaches, as you know, and one of them is like, will you stop? You've got enough on your plate. No more ideas. Let's stick to what we got. I'm like, I can't help it.
mm.
Um,
So with all
so
the businesses that you have, right? Like this is not your only one that you have. What is your favorite business to run or to work with?
oh, right now this one,
This one.
because it's got such potential to change lives for generations to come. It's not like a one-off, right? Like in the AI space, that's a one build and you're done. This one has so many facets to it. Like I told you, I get bored very easily once I get the idea like underway. But here it's like I have to build the home care company, and then I have to build the home health company,
Mm,
and then I have to build the memory cares, and then I have to build the daycare, and then I have to build the hospice. So it's literally like as soon as I start getting bored with one, I can move to the next because I'm building a team behind me to operate everything. Kind of like JT's got, right? He doesn't even have to go in the office anymore with his nine-figure brain. His staff
right.
doesn't even talk to him.
Yeah.
And yet they run everything for him, and all he does is keep an eye on it and make decisions,
So with
right?
you being based in Texas, would you bring this to the other states or is it already
Oh yeah,
pre-existing in
yeah.
other
I mean,
states?
my goal is 100,000 of these units on the ground by 2035. I've already
Mm,
got um, several people in Australia that want to build it, two in New Zealand, one in Japan, one in China, two in the UK. Um, Apparently, everywhere there are white people, we just crap all over our elderly. Um, but I've also found out because a buddy of mine, Mikey Wang, um, when I was telling him the idea, told me I needed to build it in China. I was like, no, no, no. That would seem like a huge waste of money because y'all are born and bred
mm,
to take care of your parents
hmm.
after they retire. In fact, you move them in with you. He goes, that's true for the working class. He said, but the wealthy Asians do not want to do that anymore.
Hmm.
They've got empires that they have to run. They don't have time to be at home with the parents, and they will pay a lot of money to have their parents well taken care of. And I was like, well, that's an interesting shift. That explains Japan and China. And so that's now on the radar.
Mm,
Um, Everybody's just waiting for me to prove concept, and as soon as I prove concept, we're
hmm.
done. It'll be
Mm.
everywhere, like overnight. It seems like.
So where did this drive of your entrepreneurship and business mind come from?
That's a really interesting question because neither of my parents were at all. None of my grandparents were. Um, I think I think you're kind of born with that gene, right? Maybe it's the ADHD that we all suffer from that doesn't allow us to sit in the office for very long, working on the same task over and over. Um, I don't know, ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to have my own life, and it may be that I watched my grandfather and my dad work for Exxon, both of them for over 45 years. Um, and moving 12 times in 20 years growing up because of that. Um, I don't know. I never really wanted to be the suit and tie corporate guy.
Mm,
Uh, Although I'm, well known as the tie guy
mm.
in our circles. Another long story for everybody watching this. Um, but I do. I think it's born from that need to create.
I think I'm a little bit like you in a sense. Like I grew up from a household of doctors. And I know in school we're nurtured to be followers like sheep, right?
Yeah.
But for me was I was never happy because I always knew that there was something bigger and beyond the fence that we were brought up. So for me is leaving Malaysia to be in Australia, it was trying to understand like how does success come about? Like what, you know, Why is it every time when we question things, we're told that, you're just being difficult and stuff like that? But then when you talk to successful people, it's like, no, like ask as many questions as possible and nurture that relationship. Be curious about success, be curious about an idea, develop that idea and bring it up to something that, may be a need out there in the market. So that's where I came from in terms of, going beyond that square box. And I believe you're in the same way where, you've got this idea and you think differently from the average person, as we label people, as we
Yeah,
look into people.
and I've got a lot of friends, and ideas are not restricted to us, right?
Mm,
I've got so many friends that have ideas for businesses, but I think what separates us from everybody else is we're willing to risk everything to bring our ideas to life. Um, it's like I worked construction for a little while, and I loved seeing that finished product, right? Knowing that I built that, knowing that underneath the carpet in that house or the wood floor in that house was my handprint and initials in the concrete. Um, and I think it's the same with businesses, right?
mm,
You get an idea and it's like this annoying itch in your mind that until you scratch it and try it, um, you can't get away from the idea.
mm,
It's why I chase so many rabbits at once. Is I figured out this AI thing back in December and started playing with it. And then the ideas of what it could do in this space just bombarded me. And I can't let it go because the way I look at it right now is if it were 1955 and you were sitting as the owner of a company and I'm a sales guy and I walk into your office and say, hey, Miss Chai, my name is Scott Mendell. I'm with International Business Machines,
mm,
and we've created this thing we're calling a computing machine, and it's powerful enough and has enough memory that we can store the entire dictionary on it. Now imagine if we don't put the dictionary, but we put all of your accounting data on it, and instead of having an entire team of people taking 6 months to a year to do your accounting, we can get it done in like 2 months through our computational algorithms. Wouldn't that be amazing? Are you in? And some people got on board, some people didn't. And if you think about it, International Business Machines, IBM, was the king of the computing world in the 60s and 70s. Where are they now?
mm.
Can you tell me one thing they make? Right?
I wouldn't have a
I
clue.
actually saw
Yeah.
an ad for them today. They're back in the AI space, but they got comfortable.
Mm,
And when Apple came along and said, we're going to put computers in everybody's home, IBM said, nobody's going to want that. And
mm,
Apple and Microsoft made them go away. And then they created the very first AI, and people don't even remember it.
mm.
Do you remember the name of it?
No, I don't.
Right. And yet they had a
Yeah.
Super Bowl commercial. It
Right.
was called
Yeah.
Watson.
Right.
And there's no more Watson, and they're not a major player in the AI space. I mean, you got OpenAI, Elon Musk with XAI,
Mm,
and Gemini, which was originally called Google Brain and is
mm,
now Gemini. And there's a fourth that's kind of coming up behind them a little bit, that might be a player at some point. But yeah, it's those three. It's those three, and IBM is building platforms on top of them rather than them building on IBM, who started it all.
mm,
And so AI to me was one of those things where, you know, it's 1955 and you're looking at the computer. Now it's 2025 and we're looking at AI. And I think it's the same cusp, right? Either you're going to get on board right now or you are going to get left behind very, very quickly.
mm,
Because back then it was very difficult to build a computer, very difficult. Now it's incredibly easy to build an AI. You saw JT build the nine-figure brain in 2 months. I'm talking with guys right now about the development of my therapist AI, I've got a 90-day plan to get it launched,
So
and it
for
will
those of
revolution.
you listening, because like those of you are listening, we're both in JT Fox's circle, and JT has duplicated his brain in ChatGPT,
Oh
where
yeah, yeah, I
he's
did say nine-figure brain.
literally,
Didn't explain it well.
yeah, nine-figure brain. So he's duplicated his brain on ChatGPT, where literally we're getting coaching from ChatGPT, but it's actually him. So he's put his brain on a system that we can ask a question on technology, on AI, instead of going directly to him if we need him
Yeah,
like urgently. And like Scott's wearing the hat, business is war, because business is war. Business is all about going through the challenges and the battles of improvement, and how we level up through the journey. So it's using the tools that we have as weapon in order to maximize and winning the battle for our business itself. But let's like take a step back from the business concept, right? Because we both met in Dubai. Yeah, I
yes,
think it was Dubai at Carolina Stanbury and Sergio's and her husband
yep.
Sergio's event. And like I remember knowing you where you're there where is a business sense, and you're just like switched on in regards to all about business, and we're there learning about business and how to grow a business in that kind of world and understand real estate in Dubai. But
Mhm.
then I sat next to you in for dinner, and you're a whole different character itself. You're like this fun guy. Like, how do you find that balance between work and play or fun?
Um, I don't. They exist simultaneously for me. There's I have fun at work. If I don't
Mm,
have fun at work, I don't want to work.
mhm.
Um, and you've seen I have a crazy sense of humor. And I don't mind, pulling pranks on very wealthy people. And I do the same thing in my daily job. I pull pranks on my coworkers, and my employees. Sometimes they don't get it. But for me, I enjoy having fun, right? I mean, if you can't
Mm.
have fun, why are you doing what you're doing?
But you know
If
when to
you're
be
not having
serious
fun, then
and when
it's a
to,
job.
yeah, but you know when to have fun, and also when to be serious, because business is
Yeah,
business at the end of the day as well, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, there is a fine line sometimes between, getting it done and joking around about getting it done.
Mm,
Um, and so, yeah, you have to have the ability to turn it on and off, and knowing when when like I guess the best way to say it, when deep work needs
mm.
to be done, when you got to absolutely focus. And granted, that's one of my biggest weaknesses, sometimes, is the ability to do that deep work. Because I get focused on some things, but my ADHD jumps up badly and distracts me, and I'm chasing squirrels in every different direction. Um, I have to keep I have to keep lists of things that need to be accomplished to keep me kind of centered, or I will chase those squirrels that are running around in my brain.
But
Um,
you've been doing so well though, like considering you're talking about the squirrels and the shiny objects and all those things. Like for someone that has come from that field to someone that's created something so amazing, like your red bear care and all the stuff that you've done out there. So what's the secret to your success?
um, n Not letting others tell me I can't.
Mm,
Not quitting. Um, and just that insatiable curiosity to see if I can do it, right? That challenge. I love a challenge. Um, and so it's that insatiable curiosity that drives me every single day. What can I do next? How is this going to work? And no, it's not always fun. There are days like I just lost a key employee a couple of weeks ago, a good friend of mine, and she just wasn't working out, and um, we had to go our separate ways, and that created some issues here. With anytime you lose a key employee, it's never fun or easy.
mm,
And so replacing her is going to be a challenge, but it's one I'm always game for. Um, so I think it's just literally the drive, right? I mean, we talk about JT, but there's JT and Bobby and oh, I met um, John Catsimatidis the other
Mm,
day, Tom Cruise, Idris Elba, and they're all crazy similar, right? They're high level entrepreneurs, and granted, two of them are movie stars, three of them are billionaires, but they all have that wild drive to be the best at what they do. Um,
it's not
uh,
settling though. It's like just continuously going through that
yeah,
journey.
yeah. Catsimatidis is a fascinating guy because he started off working in his friend's father's grocery store, ended up buying half of it from his friend, then ended up buying the whole thing. Then shortly after bought another grocery store, and now he's worth like $5.8 billion dollars. He's got grocery stores and oil company, which is transmission pipelines and refining. He's got hundreds of gas stations. He's got an aviation company. I mean, it's just incredible what this guy does.
Mm,
And having the opportunity to sit in his office and watch him work for a little while was amazing because you realize that there's really, other than like the level of decision making and the money involved, it's
mm,
not any different than what we do. They deal with, like, he had a problem come up while we were sitting there and we had just been talking about failures and like those moments that those things happen, and his phone rings and he put it on speaker and he answered it, and it was a problem that he had to deal with, and he's like, this is too wild, y'all listen to this. And I mean, he handled it in like an instant.
mm,
And
mm,
the great thing is watching incredible leaders work and learning, like being on the set with Tom Cruise. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, you get to go meet Tom Cruise." I'm like, "No, no, no, I get to be on the set of MI8." "No, you're going to get to meet Tom Cruise." I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm going to be on the set," because I wanted to watch how he managed a set. I mean,
mm,
the biggest action star in the world, and to see how he ran a set was what I went there for. And I was engrossed in conversations with the stunt coordinator and the set engineer and the costuming, learning what they thought of Tom and how everything worked and how they built these amazing sets that they're building that have never been built before. Um, and then watching Tom come in and talk with the director and co-director, assistant director, about safety. But he's not bothered. He never mentions his own. He's worried about the crew and the set and the director and the divers and everybody else. He knows he'll be safe because of one thing that he's got posted all over his set. And it's a sign that I told his brother-in-law, who was showing us around that day, it's a sign that says, don't be cautious, be competent.
mm,
And I was like, I love that. I'm going to steal that. And he goes, Tom will love that you're going to use that, because he believes it. Because when we do stuff on set every day, three or four people or more, their lives are at risk.
mm,
And if we're cautious, we're going to get somebody hurt. If we're competent, that everybody is doing their job exactly like they're supposed to and is competent in that job, nobody will ever get hurt.
mm,
And I was amazed at that thought. And I did. I brought it back into my company. Because when you're caring for seniors, you've got to be competent. You cannot go into something with the idea that you're going to be careful because this might happen or that might happen. Because if you're thinking about it, you're going to make it happen. So if you're competent that you can get this job done and you can help them, whatever the situation is, those seniors that we take care of are so much safer. So it was a very interesting trip to be able to like refine my company by watching Tom Cruise work,
but that's the
by
thing, like
watching Mendell work.
It's using our experience and our moments, whether or not it's business experience and moments, and using that to our advantage in creating something that's even more personable in our businesses, right? It's understanding and being able to pick and choose what we observe and using that to our advantage. But let's look in a sense, right? Because we talk about business is war and we talk about failure, right? For yourself, have you ever gone through an experience of where you feel like you're a failure and you have this doubt and stuff go through your mind?
Like every day. Seriously. If you know, it's said if you have 52 days, 52 good days a year, you'll be a billionaire.
Mm,
And that's really the truth. Because there are failures that happen around me every day. And if you let them, if you let them control the narrative, you're done.
mm,
So, um, man, I was reading a book the other day and I can't remember who it was that said it, but it's you cannot view failure as an end. You have to view it as an opportunity
mm,
because failure is an opportunity to learn, to change, to grow because you have to keep growing every day. Otherwise, you die.
mm,
Plants are a great example. They grow and they grow and they grow. As soon as they quit growing, they're done. They die. Trees are the same way, although it can be, you know, decades to centuries for them. At some point, when they quit growing, they come down. And business is the same way. IBM's a perfect example. They quit growing and they failed.
mm,
And you can look around and see that I've had it happen in my own life, right? Where I got comfortable, and I just started writing it, and things happened that ended what I was doing. So as long as you're going to fail, and you absolutely have to fail to be successful. But you've got to be able to understand that in that failure, there's that opportunity. That's where the next idea is going to happen. Because why did you fail?
mm.
Figure that out. Don't let it happen again. Make it better,
It's like a
right?
deer
So,
with the headlights, right? Like if when fear comes about, is what do you do with that? Do you stay there and be knocked down by fear and failure, or do you figure it things out and be a survivor?
I think that might actually, you might have really hit on the key of what truly separates us from the wannabepreneurs, right?
Mm,
Is we just don't have any fear. We face these things every day. We risk, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars on ideas that we have and are never scared of it. I mean,
mm,
yes, I'm terrified that this might fail, but I'm not afraid to try,
mm,
right? It's like Kevin Costner when we got to speak with him at Mega Success when he said when he was asked why did he put up everything he owned, mortgaged all of his properties, cashed in all of his stocks, put everything he had into this new venture called Horizon, a four-part film that everybody said he was insane.
mm,
And he said, "Yeah, but it's my passion. It's what I've always wanted to do. And before I'm done, I'll make $1 billion on it." And my hero, Walt Disney, who was probably one of the brightest entrepreneurs that ever walked the earth. Everybody called Walt Disneyland, and it wasn't Walt Disney World back then, it was just Disneyland. Um, they called it Walt's Folly because nobody believed that a carnival would do any good. They come into town for 2 weeks and they go away for a
mm,
year and then they come back. Nobody's going to want to go over and over and over. And yet, look where he is now, right? Disney World literally defines America. It's what almost everybody thinks of. And you basically almost can't go anywhere in the world and not be able to hold up a Mickey Mouse and everybody knows what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so watching my heroes like that and seeing how he built that business, how he failed. He went bankrupt 3 times. Um, he was writing checks that had no value before Snow White was launched, begging his animators to stay on, that after they launched it, he would pay them everything and more of what they were owed. And that's kind of what it is. It's life built on failure.
Mm.
And as we go through life, we build on our failures. It's what they are what shape us. The good times don't shape us. They're just there.
But it's not
And
giving up though. Like it's the persistence and the consistency of keeping at it because,
yeah,
somebody has to truly believe in a vision and try and figure out a solution in terms of what, they're facing or hitting. And that's how it is. We can fail in many areas. It's more of how long do you want to stay in that failure position, or how long are you going to figure it out and finding a proper battle plan for to get out of that ditch.
it's those little wins. It's the little
Mm,
bitty wins every day that sustain that drive. Like if I didn't have the small wins every now and then to balance out the daily failures, it would probably be very depressing. Um,
yes.
and even in life, right? It's an everyday battle. It's getting up, it's going to work, it's doing what you have to do. And I don't care if you're a kid going to school, it's the same thing. You've got to get up, you've got to show up, you've got to do the work, you've got to make time to play, and then you go to bed and start it all over again. And for
Mm,
us, it's just a bigger playing field, right? You're still competing. And unfortunately, I think that's a huge problem with some of today's youth is they're not really taught the competition that we grew up on.
mm,
Because when they get out in the real world, it is competition. It's fierce competition.
absolutely.
Um, I don't remember who said it, but I live by it. It's like even if you're number one, compete like you're number three. And I think it was Steve Jobs. Because if you ever get comfortable and sit back, somebody is going to bite your backside off, and you will quickly be the next IBM.
Yes.
Um, and so I think, maybe it is, maybe we just chase failure, right? Maybe that's what drives us. We chase those failures, but we have that ability to fail forward, um, growing every single time, not letting it like eat our soul out. Like so many people, when they fail, just can't move forward. They just get defeated, their souls die, and whatever they're working on dies. It's telling you, like I've got friends that have great ideas,
Mm,
but they never chase them because they're afraid to fail. Oh, if I do because it's my idea, if I fail, then I'm a failure. No, you're not. The idea just failed. You're not a failure. You had a great idea. You tried.
mm.
Good. Now the next one. Go try again. Go try
If we
again.
all knew that we had to fail 50 times in order to reach that success, I think we'll all do that. But it's more of how quickly can you go through that failure to reach the success that we want or that we envision.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like sales, right? Or real estate. And so many are in real estate in our group. It's um, you got to make 1,000 calls and get rejected 999 times to get that one deal. And
Mm,
it might not even be a good deal. So you might have to make 3,000 calls and get rejected 2,997 times to get 3 deals, and one of them's the one that changes your life.
mm,
And so, yeah, it's a very interesting it's a very interesting thing that we do, right? Because obviously not everybody can do it, or everybody would own their own business. Um, and so, thank God that there are people like Walt Disney and Steve Jobs and JT Fox and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and the Carnegies
mm,
we go back through history to great entrepreneurs that show us that if you've got a great idea, and think about Edison with the light bulb, 159 failures before he got the filament right. I mean, how many people would do that?
Mm.
To try and try and try and try and try and fail and fail and fail.
With you having your business coaches, because
Yep.
you're a successful entrepreneur, right? Why do you have business coaches for yourself if you have the success that you have?
I wish I'd been smart enough to have them much earlier on.
Uh-huh.
Um, but growing up an athlete,
Mm,
you know that you can be good, but you can't be great without a coach. And you can have a great coach and still not be a great athlete. But when I finally got smart this time around and building something as big as I need this to be,
mhm,
I knew and I got very lucky in the fact that I went to that one event with the big dogs where JT was speaking. And I was like, who is this gangly dork that's up on stage with a reality TV star? And then he started talking about branding, and I was like, huh? What? Okay. And I looked him up. I'm like, oh my God, who is this guy? And you see his Instagram and his YouTube, and I'm like, dang. Okay, so he does know a bit about branding. I think I probably need to get involved with this guy. And
mm,
that's how my coaching, my business coaching journey kind of took off.
mm,
And thank God for him, right? Because he's led me to Hugh Hilton and Bobby Castro and John Catsimatidis, and I found Chris Jana and Devin Casey, who are also coaches for different parts of. I've got a different coach for every part of my business. JT's branding and wealth. Bobby is my mindset coach. Chris Jana is my daycare. Devin Casey is my home health. Valerie Van Buten is for the home care side of things. And so, yeah, I mean, I've got the best of the best out there for what I'm doing, and
mm. And it's
you
the
cannot
consistent
play at a great
growth.
level.
Yes, consistent growth of always continuously learning. So I thank you. Look, Scott, thank you for coming on. We could go on for hours and
We
hours
could,
with
yeah.
all your amazing stories and sharing your journey. But if anyone is interested in knowing more about Red Bear Care, I will put on the link on the description below. But it's if you like this episode, if you enjoyed it, please do like and share this. It's been an absolute pleasure for Scott being here. And if you're curious to know what Scott does, you can look him up on social media, Scott Mendell. So thank you, Scott, for coming up today and sharing all your amazing experience and your lessons for us to learn in terms of growing businesses.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Lorraine. It's been a joy. Can't wait to see
Absolutely.
you again.
Yes, absolutely. Until next time, guys, stay tuned.